You know, if you were Prince Harry, you'd almost certainly be sitting there, staring at the screen, watching it unfold, and feeling that quiet, inescapable thought, this could have been mine. And if you were Meghan Markle, the realization might cut even deeper. Because all it would have taken was time. A little more patience. A willingness to adapt within the structure of the British royal family. Had that happened, the path might have led somewhere extraordinary, standing beside King Charles III, on one of the most powerful stages in the world, White House. That moment, symbolic, historic, unforgettable. Because standing there, you feel it. The weight of history, the gravity of power. It's the same pull that draws people to Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace, the need to say, I was there. I stood where history stands. And for Meghan, that vision once felt within reach. Now? It feels distant. Almost unreachable. Their recent tour was meant to change everything, a reset, a turning point, a return to form. Instead, it unraveled. Quietly, but unmistakably. And once again, the cracks didn't come from outside, they came from within. Because the reality of royal life isn't performance. It's precision. It's discipline. It's understanding a system that has endured for centuries and knowing how to exist within it. And that's where the contrast sharpens. Because while one path struggles to find its footing, another moves forward with absolute clarity. Led by Prince William, the future of the monarchy appears increasingly defined, steady, deliberate, and impossible to ignore. Which is why what comes next won't just be another chapter. For some, it may feel like a door quietly, but firmly, closing. The thing about Bondi is something that we are aware of, but there were a lot of other things. It simply lacked any kind of consideration. And once more, I have a feeling that they are under the impression that they are able to simply assume the role of royal family whenever they so choose. Furthermore, what we are currently witnessing in the United States of America is not only how well it is done, but also, and this is of utmost importance, how well it is executed. It is a task that requires a great deal of effort. It is clear that a person such as Major Johnny Thompson, who is a pleasant individual, had numerous encounters with him. He's there, you know, making sure everything is in order and doing all of that kind of stuff. When you watch Meghan and Harry, it seems as though Harry is slapping the guy on the bum at Bondi Beach, and I don't know if you've seen the clip, but you say to yourself, what are you doing? I mean, it just looks terrible, if you know what I mean. It is possible that he perceives it as being playful, entertaining, and other similar things. He just doesn't look right. Is it really possible to conceive of Catherine doing that more frequently? The good news is that if you are in Australia, very soon there will be news of a possible return from the Prince and Princess of Wales. This is going to be quite exciting for you. And where this is interesting, when you think it's catastrophic, really, for Harry and Meghan. Because they thought that that particular footage, and as I told you exclusively on our channel, they took their own sort of videographer, and they thought, we can get some footage, and we can sort of knock together, almost a similar plan as to what they did, you know, when ITV went along, and all of that, the fallout, when Meghan said she couldn't believe she wasn't getting paid for this and all that, right? Again, when you think about it, this is interesting because it is obvious that nobody wanted to see that footage. What this will bring to light, and this is where I feel the problem lies, is that you should not believe that this is not occurring. The fact that William is not going to choose the path of least resistance in this situation makes this a struggle for publicity, for wits, or for whatever you want to call it. Do you think he is aware that Harry and Meghan are a source of annoyance? Therefore, the most effective method for dealing with the fact that this is a nuisance is to counteract it and demonstrate exactly who the senior royals are, as well as who the individuals are that are doing the very best to represent the monarchy. The fact that they are the genuine article ensures that their return to Australia will unquestionably be a tremendous success when it finally occurs. When it comes to being fair to Markle and Harry, I believe that they were not very clear, and they were not very concise, exactly. We are having a private visit. At this point, it has become a visit from a half-royal. At this point, it is a private visit from a half-royal. Not a single person was aware of what it was. The return of William and Catherine will be a significant event in the history of the royal family. It is not entirely clear to me at this time whether or not they are able to bring along one of the youngsters. I have a feeling that they would want to accomplish that. In my opinion, that would be the best course of action to take as well. Obviously, this is an introduction for someone like Prince George to have a glimpse of what the future has in store for them. In point of fact, I believe that it is a pretty astute approach. To be fair, it is still early in the game at this point. Whatever we do know, however, is that this is not good news for anyone other than the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who were formerly members of the royal family. If they thought that the year 2025 was a horrible one, it appears that the year 2026 is going to be even worse this time around. In addition, as I mentioned to you not so long ago, the choice between Sandringham and Balmoral is without a doubt. More importantly, I have been informed by a reliable source that the King is currently feeling revitalized as a result of the successful tour that he has made to the United States of America up to this point. He most certainly does not want the high drama that has been circulating in the headlines over here in the British press over whether or not Harry will be coming next. Would Meghan be coming? Which children will they bring with them? In all honesty, he is simply enjoying himself and doing what he ought to be enjoying at his age of 77, which is simply being the king and doing it very well, especially on the international stage. A brand new exhibition held in the very centre of London. From my perspective, the contrast between Prince William and the path taken by Prince Harry alongside Meghan Markle reveals something deeper than mere personal choices. It exposes a fundamental difference in understanding duty, restraint, and institutional purpose. What stands out about William is not just composure, but consistency. He appears to grasp that influence within a centuries-old institution like the monarchy is not seized overnight, it is accumulated quietly through discipline, credibility, and respect for the framework one inherits. There is a long-game mindset at play, one that values stability over spectacle. In that sense, his trajectory feels not only appropriate but necessary to build on continuity. It is difficult not to view his approach as the more mature reading of what modern royal relevance actually requires. By contrast, Harry and Meghan often seem to have misunderstood the very system they once operated within. There is an impression, not entirely unfair, that they expected the privileges of royal status without fully accepting its constraints. That imbalance is where the credibility begins to erode. Public life at that level is not a stage for personal branding experiments, it demands a degree of discipline that subordinates ego to role. When that boundary blurs, the result is confusion at best, and reputational damage at worst. Meghan, in particular, appears to have approached the institution with a mindset shaped more by celebrity culture than by constitutional reality. That might work in Hollywood, where reinvention is rewarded, but it clashes sharply with an environment where symbolism, protocol, and hierarchy are not optional, they are the very currency of legitimacy. The recurring missteps, whether in tone, presentation, or timing, suggest not just miscalculation but a persistent misreading of context. It is difficult to interpret that as anything other than a failure to adapt. As for Harry, the criticism feels more complicated, but no less warranted. There is a sense of squandered position, of someone who had proximity to immense institutional weight yet chose a path that often appears reactive rather than strategic. What could have been a role of quiet influence has instead become one of intermittent visibility, frequently tied to controversy rather than contribution. That shift inevitably invites scrutiny. Meanwhile, William's approach functions almost as a counterpoint, less reactive, more deliberate, and ultimately more effective. It demonstrates that authority within such a system does not need to be asserted loudly to be felt. In fact, the opposite is often true.